Podcast Network Asia.
Marriage. What we have learned so far as newlyweds. This is the 24th episode of the Major Podcast with Venus Ra. Welcome back to the Major Podcast with Venus Ra with North. Ay, hindi na pala ako Venus Ra.
Ano na ngayon?
Venus Ra Aurelian.
Wow.
Yun yung apelido mo, di ba, love?
Yeah. We're married na.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are. Nung unang araw po namin, nagkwento ka agad. Mamaya na yung kwento. So we want to share with you the things that we have learned so far as newlyweds. I think we will tackle on two major topics. Number one would be communication. And the number two would be the perspectives that we want to change, or maybe the things that we want to share now that we are married. Parang nakita namin na ito yung kalimitang perspective ng mga tao pagdating sa issue or topic na ganito. Why can't we have a different perspective when it comes to these things? So we will read to you some statements na usual nating pinag-uusapan, and then later on North and I will share the perspectives that we have when it comes to these things. So simulan natin, love, sa communication.
Yes.
What have you learned so far when it comes to communication?
Communication is really something that we worked on very early in our relationship now. And it based on past experiences, parang it has been a source of conflict.
Yeah.
Many times na because of miscommunication, we would get into fights or arguments, parang ganun.
Yeah.
But because that's one of the things we focused on at the early stages of the relationship, parang it was really what helped us build that strong foundation for this relationship that we have now.
Yeah.
And, it's something that shouldn't be ignored.
Yeah.
It would almost seem as parang maging requirement siya na for all the couples or even newlyweds to really practice on communication.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Is there anything in particular that you remember, maybe a conflict or how we dealt with that we can share? Not too much
information.
But what have you learned from that and how we navigate that situation?
So generally speaking, there were moments where I would say something that for me, I would understand it as one thing, but for you would understand it as another thing. And maybe that's because siguro from where I grew up, it's how we talk to family.
Yeah.
So when I would speak to you, you would often misinterpret those things, and then you would get upset, and then I would get upset. And how we resolved that was, it took practice, but what we did was I apologized.
Mm-hmm.
I humbled myself and admitted na the way I communicated to you was not the right way because you're used to a different type of communication. So for me, parang kasi hindi ako sanay na, with your type of communication, I adjusted to that.
Yeah.
As opposed to insisting na you should communicate like me.
Yeah.
Because I'm used to this. Parang ganun.
Yeah.
It's not a negotiation. You have to follow me. Parang ganun.
Yeah.
So that was a turning point. And that was what I needed to adjust early on. And that really helped us resolve conflicts way quicker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my favorites, I think, tinuro sa atin to ng counselors natin nung meron tayong premarital counseling. Isa sa mga tinuro nila is to take two.
Take two.
Take two. So for
Yeah,
example, I remember this vividly. We went to a mall and we went to a restaurant in BGC. And then we went to a restaurant and then we said na, can you reserve a seat for us? Is there do we have to reserve? So basically nagpa-reserve tayo ng seat natin. Pero sabi natin babalik tayo. And then and then umalis tayo. And then naghanap tayo ng panibagong restaurant. And then nakakita tayo ng restaurant na pwede na tayong umupo at hindi na tayo maghihintay at hindi na kailangan magpa-reserve, diretso na lang. And then I told you, I was like, love, can we cancel the reservation from the other restaurant so we can now dine in this restaurant? Yes. And then I don't remember exactly what you said, but then what I remember was I was in a way upset or maybe parang medyo hindi naman nasaktan, parang medyo nagulat ako dun sa sagot mo. And then I was like, love, Take two. How will you respond? I said this. How will you respond to it? And then you said it again. And then, yun, sa akin din, siguro sa mga babae sa atin na nakikinig, minsan pag may sinabi yung partner natin, yung spouse natin, or yung asawa natin sa atin, na parang medyo sumakit yung loob natin, alam nyo, it helps when they say it again in a nicer way. Tapos parang mawawala na yung sama ng loob mo. Na parang biglang nagamot na yung sama ng loob. Parang ganon. So, to me, the take two principle really helps.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And now that you mention it, parang it's also an exercise for guys na sometimes when we say something, tendencies are parang we will stand on what we said, regardless if we hurt someone or not. So, that exercise, the take two exercise, helped us parang really bridge that gap of communication, especially for me as a guy that very insistent, very proud and very, parang he won't take no for an answer. So that really helped, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fairness, so take two, guys.
Take two.
Alalahanin natin yan. When it comes to verbal and nonverbal communication, guilty ako dito. Na parang...
Saan?
So, nonverbal communication. Na parang, in fairness naman to you, love, you are so sensitive when it comes to how I am. Na parang pag nakita mo na gusot na yung mukha ko,
may konting wrinkle.
Na alam mo na may mali. You don't hesitate in asking, are you okay? Is there something wrong? So sa akin, when you do that, when you ask if I'm okay, to me, it's like an opening na pwede kong sabihin sa'yo kung ano yung rason ba't gusot yung mukha ko. Gusot talaga. pwedeng ikaw yung rason or pwedeng hindi ikaw yung rason. Yeah. So, to me that it's really helpful when you ask if I'm okay or not.
Yeah, and I thank you for that because parang you're also honest enough to tell me right away.
Yeah.
It's really an important thing for us to know each other's triggers and see the signs when we're annoyed or we're not. And, I'm also guilty of that. Kasi my face is also very expressive. Very expressive. Na to the point na kahit konting annoyance or irritation, you can see it in my face. Yeah. And I'm sure you have na.
Yeah.
So I think that's both true on our parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, we share the same face.
We share the same face. Yeah. Sabi nila magkamukha na daw kami. Totoo naman.
Yeah.
I think just to wrap up this segment lang. What do you think is the reason why sometimes guys will not ask the question, are you okay?
Yes. Oh, okay. Immediately.
Yeah.
One of the things that pop in my mind is guys don't want to hear na they're the reason the partner is upset.
Okay.
We don't want to hear that we're the reason. Because if we are the reason, that means we did something wrong.
Right.
And sometimes, or most of the times, I'm not sure with any of the listeners listening, but if this is you, if you're the kind of guy that does not admit to their mistakes or does not even take the time to examine where you messed up or maybe you said something or did something, then it will be a cause of argument,
Yeah.
And many of the guys that I've met so far have this general attitude na when they ask their partners if something's wrong or whatnot, they actually expect the partner to say nothing. Na parang, it's fine.
Right.
Or but when you say, I'm fine.
Right.
Pero guys would always say, okay, you're fine pala. Wala namang problema.
Right.
But that's wrong.
Yeah.
So guys, when we ask our partners what's wrong and we have a gut feel that we're the reason, you have to be prepared to accept that and you have to be humble enough to, admit your mistake.
Yeah.
Because
that's really nice.
Your partner is not your enemy. You're not my enemy.
Yeah.
I'm not your enemy. Right?
Yeah. And ladies, pag tinanong na kayo ng are you okay, sumagot kayo ng tama, ng totoo.
I'm not fine.
Yeah, I mean just say
be honest
that
then,
you're not okay. Because sometimes, yun nga, parang pag tinanong na are you okay? Okay lang ako, okay lang. Pero hindi ka talaga okay. So sabihin mo na hindi ka okay. But also, piggybacking on what North said na men might be scared to know that they are the reason why you're not okay. Siguro ang natutunan ko din is to say it in a way that it's still respectful. So ladies, kahit na sila yung rason kung bakit hindi tayo okay, sabihin pa rin natin yun in a respectful manner. So I tell North that I'm not okay because when you said this a while ago, this is how I felt. So I think dun din parang hindi na ganun ka sakit yung dating sa kanya pag sinabi kong siya yung reason but hindi ako.
Yeah. And also guys, practice sensitivity.
Yeah.
Because many guys don't have that.
Yeah.
But we need that.
Yeah.
So we can take care of you properly.
I like that. All right. Another topic that we want to just maybe talk about is what are the perspectives that we have presently. So what I'll do is I'll just read some statements and then you give a comment. We give a comment to the statements that I'm about to read. Number 1, honeymoon stage pa lang kayo, kaya ganyan kayo ka-sweet ngayon. Balikan nyo kami after 2 years kung ganyan pa rin kayo.
Yeah. Grabe, I think siguro countless times.
Yeah.
We've heard this from other couples.
Yeah.
No, we're not gonna mention who. But respective to their experience, parang for us, it's kind of a shock na, ba't ganun? Ba't palaging ganun? That's the narrative. It's always on a negative side. And for me, my comment on that is, siguro it's because of what they experience as well. And it's a scary experience. Why? Because siguro 90% that we've met, the couples that we've met, would often have that same narrative. So it's kind of alarming to see na that's the experience for majority of the couples.
Yeah.
Hanggang 2 years lang kayo, hanggang 3 years lang yan.
Yeah.
Honeymoon stage lang yan. That's not gonna last forever.
Yeah.
So that was alarming to me. What about you, love?
Yeah, same thoughts. Na parang I was thinking, why can't we change the perspective and why can't we say that's a good stage that you guys are in right now.
Yeah.
In fact, this is so good. Why don't you keep on doing what you're doing now? If you're sweet to your spouse, continue to be sweet. If you were open in your communication, continue to be open with your communication. You were respecting your spouse, continue to respect your spouse. You are so sweet to your wife, continue to be sweet to your wife. Instead of saying, hanggang 2 years, 3 years lang yan. Tapos pagkatapos niyan, hindi na kayo ganyan. So parang, as what you said, it's a scary thought because I don't want to find myself in a situation where after 2 years or 3 years, I don't respect you anymore. I don't like that. So I like what you said, love, na why don't we look at it in a positive way? Na let's encourage new couples, kung sweet sila, kung open sila sa communication nila, why don't we say, that's a good thing, continue doing what you're doing.
Yes. And again, to the people viewing this or listening to this, we want to preface this talk by saying that we're not experts and we are newlyweds. Okay, we're very much new to this. We are learning so much, and and if you could learn with us, that would be great. So
yeah.
And
it's nice to surround yourselves with people who are advanced in years and experience and godly couples. Mm-hmm. Because sa atin, yun talaga yun eh. Parang ako natututunan ko sa kanila, ina-apply din natin sa situation natin.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, number 2, love. Sa mga pagtitipon, ang palagi nating naririnig, ba't wala pa rin kayong anak? 12 days pa lang po kaming kasal.
Okay. I know that a lot of listeners now are experiencing this.
Yeah.
To the point that they feel pressured to just get into any kind of relationship. My thoughts on that is, don't let those comments dictate our timeline.
Yeah.
Because our timeline belongs to God.
Yeah.
So, it's God's decision when we will have a baby.
Yeah.
So we can do our part, we can be healthy, we can continue with our intimacy. Pero if it's get checked as well, those are important things. But what's above that is, when it's God's will for us to have a baby at this time, or maybe at this time or this time, then it will happen.
Yeah.
So we place our trust in God with regards to that, because He alone has the capacity to make that happen.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
Your thoughts, love?
I totally 100% agree with you. Sabi po namin nung nagsisimula kami, parang, oo nga no, hindi pala talaga ikaw yung magsasabi. It's not going to be like one night you be intimate and then after that this will be a baby. Hindi siya ganon.
Hindi na kailangan ng pregnancy test. Parang ganon.
Alam mo na kagad. Hindi siya ganon. It's the Lord's will. It's God's timeline, as you said.
Yeah.
And we will continue to do our part, but at the end of the day, we will continue to trust the Lord.
That's right.
Last one. Ito pwede to sa mga singles o kaya naman sa malapit ng mag-asawa, yung mga may boyfriend, girlfriend na hindi pa rin kinakasal. So, ito yung statement na palagi nating naririnig. Ba't wala ka pa rin jowa? O ba't hindi pa kayo kinakasal? Ba't wala ka pa rin jowa?
Oh, wow. Again, pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure sometimes comes from the wrong places.
Yeah.
And it kind of affects us in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, these are normal questions, pero for us to let these questions affect us, parang the last thing you would want to happen is for you to now find yourself in a state where you're rushing.
Yeah.
Dapat may boyfriend na ako by this time, but dapat may girlfriend na ako by this time, dapat may anak na ako by this time.
Yeah.
Because of these things. And well, the people who would often ask this, maybe family, friends, parents, they mean well. They do. They might. So for us, the recipients of these questions, we just, be discerning in managing our emotions. Parang, let's not get pressured.
Yeah.
Because again, it's not our timeline.
Yeah.
It's God's timeline. So, yun. Just let these questions pass.
Yeah. For me, 8 taong tinatanong sa akin to, ba't wala ka pa rin jowa? Kailan ka na mag-aasawa? Pero siguro yun nga, what I've learned in the journey is there's really a blessing in waiting. And when we wait unto the Lord, let's use that time to serve the Lord, to honor Him, to worship Him. To the point na pag nag-asawa tayo, hindi tayo lilingon dun sa pagiging single natin at sasabihin natin na, ay, sayang hindi ko nagawa to nung single ako. Or ay, sayang sana pala ito muna yung ginawa ko bago ako nag-asawa. So, walang pagsisisi pag dumating ka na sa married life kasi yung buhay natin as single individuals, sana na-devote natin yun and really serving the Lord and honoring Him and doing the things that, we like to do. Because when we go to the next season, which is married life, may bago na naman tayong assignment na kailangan gawin. So that's going to be as exciting, as amazing. Dahil, kumbaga, we have closed a chapter. Yung pagiging single natin, sigurado tayo na pag sinara yung chapter na yon, wala tayong babalikan at sasabihin, sayang hindi ko nagawa to nung single ako.
Yeah, you know? And maybe just a follow-up question for the viewers, no?
Mm-hmm.
Would you also be curious as to why you're still single? Because maybe God is still doing something in your life. Parang maybe the reason why you don't have a partner yet is because God is still working out something within you. Maybe it's a change in attitude, perspective, maybe He's getting you ready.
Yeah.
But until we accept that, then we will find ourselves in very dysfunctional relationships. And we don't want that for any of you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
So instead of saying, ba't wala pang jowa, ba't wala pang asawa, sa mga nakikita nating single or, not yet married, we can say, what are you doing while you're still single?
Yeah, be productive, guys.
Yeah. How are you devoting your time?
Exactly.
Or what are the new things that you're learning? So, yeah, those are the things that we want to share to all of you. Thank you for listening. Love, thank you for joining me for the past 2 episodes.
Thank you, love.
Sana bumalik ka.
Next episode na agad.
Sana nandito ako sa mga susunod na episode.
Next episode ako na yung mag-host.
Ikaw na yung host. Pag wala ako, ikaw na.
Oh, you know.
But thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate your time, love.
Thank you, love.
North and I would like to thank you for your support, for your prayers, lalo na ho before, I got married. I know that there's a lot of you out there who's really praying for me and also for North. So maraming salamat po. We would like to share with you some snippets of our wedding day last December 12. Let's watch this. And that's it for today's episode. Please follow us on Spotify and on our social media accounts and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Till the next episode of the Major Podcast with Venus Ra.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia, the hosts of the program, or other programs of the network. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.